So Ellie's up here and all excited and ready to go, but I'm a little bit panicked personally because I don't know if I remember how to do this show. Do you guys?
We'll get through
We'll
it.
see.
Is this in the bar? Is this side blind? What show is this?
I thought it was blindsided.
Ah, yes.
Here we go.
Blindsided.
So confused.
Sidebar blindsided.
Yeah, maybe.
Kinda.
I personally like in the bar though. I think we should just do that show.
I do. I'm telling you,
combine them together.
That's a winner.
Yep, combine together in the blind and sidebar. We'll just make it in the bar, and we'll do that 4 nights a week.
I'm ready for it.
And the goal is to still be understandable by the end of the show.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or the goal is not to be understandable by the end of the show, depending on
I was going to say, either way kind of works.
It does.
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody. We are back after a 2-week spring break. Good to be here. And for topic, we're actually going to do the same basis twice this week. Back in Judge Wiggins' court a couple of weeks ago, we saw a preliminary examination for a situation where a lady was charged with the death of somebody in her adult foster care facility because that person did not get their insulin. That's the claim anyways.
Yep.
So we thought tonight we would talk about that situation and kind of what went down, because there's a lot to it. And I think we definitely all have some pretty passionate thoughts on it. And then on Thursday, we thought we would talk about how she got charged and whether or not that's appropriate and where we think that's going to go. So I think that's what we're going to do this week. So if you're out there, say hello in the chat. Feel free to participate. All that happy kind of stuff. But Ashley, do you have the case details? Do you want to kind of give us a 30,000 foot view if you could?
It's just what you said, Dan. All I really have is that she was the property. She's kind of considered a property manager of that place, like she
administrator, I think.
Administrator or something of that home, and she was watching over this woman, and the woman had needs other than being insulin dependent. She had other medical issues. And they were saying the cause of death was her not being given her insulin type thing. So that's pretty much all I have, to be honest.
Fair enough. Well, the administrator's name was Christy Fleischfresser, and that's going to be the last time I say her last name because it's too complicated to say.
Yep.
But it was her. She owned the place. Yes, thank you. She owned the place. Actually, her mother originally owned it. Yeah. It is not quite a nursing home. It's an adult foster care facility up in Michigan. So the care and standards are not quite up to nursing home or skilled care. It falls somewhere between assisted living and nursing home.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. But they had 2 homes on this property. Each home held 20 people. And the lady who's deceased, her name was Kelly Harris. And she had only been in the place not long, like a couple of days.
Yep.
And then she was found dead. Yeah. And they think it was the insulin. But this ended up in the court for multiple reasons. And this is kind of what got our attention. It wasn't just the death of this person. It was also a potential cover-up or attempt at a cover-up of the death. Yep. Because after the fact, they went back through and added records to her log to try and show that, well, she was given insulin at these times. And that's where it gets really, really interesting.
It's a whole nother shaboodle
Went
there.
from shady to shadier.
Mm-hmm.
It went from negligence to either, in my head, it's either panic or criminal intent, which it's
Little bit
up
of both.
to, or both.
Well, I guess that's the question. You know, was it panic, or did they realize that they?
Well, no
screwed
doubt
up
there's
and tried to
criminal
cover it up, or-
intent.
There's criminal intent there, of course, but why did she go back and falsify the records? I think it has to do with she was a bit panicked.
Yeah.
At the situation. She realized what happened, and then the human side of things is like, how do I fix this? You know what I mean? Like, so instead of owning up to it, she's like, I'm gonna just, or she might have realized, I did give her insulin and I just forgot to log it, so I'll just go log it now, type thing. I don't know. One of those two scenarios probably is true.
Oh, what are
Well,
your
there was a
thoughts,
lot of
Nathan?
allegations made. I mean, this is, so you know the old saying, the cover-up is worse than the crime. The crime's kind of bad, right? Negligence is bad. But then going back and committing fraud and tampering with evidence and tampering with medical records and trying to save face and then passing the buck to other people, and there's a lot of finger pointing. That's when conditions become a lot worse. And I think this is a case that a lot of people can relate to, because we've all known somebody that's been in the hospital or in some sort of care facility at some point. And at least, you know, some of us have experienced, maybe not quite to the level where someone died, but maybe some inadequate care. And to say the least, there's going to be some people that are not ethical and that will go back and try and cover things up, change charts, change records, say, oh no, they got everything that they were cared for. And that's what we heard in this case a lot. Yes. And look, this was, if you haven't watched this hearing, I mean, this was, it took up basically an entire day on TCF and part of another.
Yeah.
Because this was and it still hasn't been resolved, by the way.
It's still not done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the 27th will be back in their court.
And I'm going to be interested to see how this resolves. Although kind of reading from the tea leaves, I think we can kind of see the tone of where this is going. Although I guess you just never know, especially in Michigan. You really don't know.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah,
of,
there's
a lot of problems with it. What were we going to say, Michael?
Yeah, I was just going to say. Yeah, I was really going to say there was a lot of problems because this is one of those weird cases where, again, you know, once you start digging into the facts of the case, and we already heard people changing their stories. We already heard the woman Fleischfresher. We already heard her changing her story, and this is an all too common problem where even in good care facilities, I mean, records are sometimes a little iffy, and they even said, oh yeah, you know, sometimes we've gone back and made corrections. We've authorized corrections for, you know, small things, you know, like, oh, you know, that number was entered in wrong, or that data was entered in incorrectly. And okay, but once you start going down that road, you know, it opens the door for people to question, well, if you're willing to correct something minor that may not matter. Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Austin. Yeah. What else are you going to go in and correct? And that's kind of what we saw in this case. And to me, just everything about it just looks so sketchy. And that's where I was at with this. And it definitely did not. It makes you think again about care facilities. I know this is a small little, you know, situation, but
that really hit it for me.
Yeah,
Seeing as
it's
I've been in those facilities for different surgeries and whatnot.
yeah.
And you would think
Austin,
she would
I
know
was gonna say.
better. You would think she would know better because she was like not in her 20s. She was like 39. She's 39. So when this
She'd have
offense
been-
was committed, so yes, she's not like too young. Like you would think someone would be responsible, as well. That's that age,
Well,
but no.
Well, yeah, but again, this is a situation where, look, if you're in the medical field, if you're a nurse, a doctor, it's going to happen to you where someone dies on your watch.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a reality of it, and if you take good care of your patients, no matter how good you are, the 98-year-old is going to die one day, or somebody has a heart attack, or things happen. I mean, it's the nature of it. And as long as you have done the best that you can, as long as you have gone, and dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, and you're gonna be fine. This is a case though where clearly a mistake was made, at least one mistake about insulin, and there's some certainly allegations that maybe it was more than just that. That there was more going on, and that this person may have actually. And whenever something like this happens, I always think, well, this is just the first time that a major calamity has happened on this person's watch, and maybe that's more of, lucky that other people didn't have the same thing happen to them. And that's the door gets flung open to this, and I think that's why we're seeing this, kind of finger pointing and accountability shuffling, and because if we start digging into Miss Fleischfreffer, we're going to find out that there's a lot more going on here, maybe too. So,
well, maybe there's a lot more going on with this case, and
yeah,
Yes.
I think it's worth highlighting some of that just to further the discussion a little bit. First off, Christy, and that's what I'm going to call her because I'm not doing that last name. Christy was the administrator, but not the one in direct care of this person. That's the first thing worth noting.
Right.
But it seems like there was some conflict with some of the staff, because one of the staff members got up there and testified in this prelim exam, and she clearly had a problem with Christy.
Yes.
Those two were just not getting
That was
along.
huge.
So there was some conflicts there. The victim here, the person who died, I forget her name already. That's so terrible of me.
Harris.
Thank you, Harris.
Yeah.
Kelly Harris.
She was in a hospital before she went to this care facility. And I just
Right.
confirmed this. It was November 1st in 22. So this took 6 years to get to this, or 5 years rather, to get to this point too. Or no, I can't.
4.
Math is hard. 3 years and change. Good heavens, Dan. But so November 1st, she went into this care facility, and then November 5th, she died. But there was testimony that she had been released from the hospital even though she had not urinated for like 48 hours. So she
Yeah.
was clearly
Yes.
dehydrated, but still discharged from the hospital. So that's weird.
Yes.
And then there's this whole question of, did she get the insulin? Did she not? And then the post dating of the records, inserting stuff into the record after the fact to try to cover the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like too, and I need to review the testimony again, and I think I will before Thursday's show. But as I recall the testimony of the medical examiner, there was some weird things with the autopsy as well.
Yeah. There
Yes.
was.
So this whole thing is just one large mess where it seems like it wasn't just the facility that dropped the ball, but it feels like there's a massive dropping of the ball before that she even got there.
Yeah.
How in the hell did she get discharged from a hospital when she was clearly dehydrated like that?
That's one of the first things I noticed, and I can't figure that out either.
She was also prescribed 2 types of insulin by that same hospital, which I found kind of, if she was apparently she was diagnosed in like 2022 with diabetes when she's and she was 60 when she passed away. So someone late in life like that, being prescribed 2 types of insulin at an older age was kind of weird to me too. But it is what it is. But yeah, I thought the early discharge from the hospital was a little sus as well. It seemed like the ball got dropped, not only at this care facility, but in and other places too. Even the autopsy was weird, in my opinion, because usually you have a specific cause of death when an autopsy is done, but it doesn't seem like they really were definite that the insulin caused her death either.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's messy for sure. And I was wondering when we were watching it, I was wondering if maybe she left the hospital AMA against medical advice. But
that was my first thought too. I think I even wrote that in the chat.
And so be it if she did, but then you have to question the wisdom of the facility taking her under those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why would they ever sign up for that?
Yeah.
I think, if it was my facility, I'd be like, no, we're not doing this.
Yep.
Right.
Then it becomes on the facility if she dies.
Yeah, it's hot potato at that point, because if they die in your care, then you're ultimately responsible. And here's the thing too, let's say that you didn't go back and fudge the records. You could sue this care facility, but then the care facility could probably turn around and sue the hospital. I mean,
Yep.
it could be one giant, chain of lawsuits basically down the line. And ultimately, I think what's sad is the deeper conversation is about the fact that probably the family isn't going to get the justice that, they deserve here.
Yep.
But yeah, there's so many more questions. But whenever you go back, see, to me, whenever you start going back and altering the records, you lose.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you didn't do
intent.
anything wrong, even if someone just died because somebody else had bad treatment or they just, whatever.
Yeah.
Says you have hide, and that to me is, that's like an automatic L for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is going to be an interesting case to keep watching, because, and yeah, obviously the first person up, there was people obviously that have problems with the director of this facility, the person that was in direct care of this, who. The buck is going to stop with Miss Fleischfresher, but. Everybody, unfortunately, it kind of bears the burden of responsibility here a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if they don't know the specific person that, well, I guess they do know the specific person that was handling Miss Kelly. Yeah, I don't know. I think she should. I think that person needs needs some kind of training or something, just to make sure this doesn't happen again to other people. Because, like you said, the director was not responsible directly with her death, but the person that was caring for Miss Kelly is. So,
but that's the thing, Ashley. When you're the director, when you're in charge, and you hired those people, you brought in those people.
Yeah.
those are people that are, and it's ultimately it's your name on the door, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's, you're the one that signs all the big papers and sign.
Oh, lost Michael.
But
Yeah.
there he is.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So when it's your name on the door and you sign all the checks, you're the one that's ultimately responsible. I mean, that's.
Yeah. I agree,
And-
but I
yeah.
wouldn't want somebody under my care or somebody that I employed though to, not
Oh,
know
of course.
not know what they're doing. So yeah,
Of
I
course.
would probably
Right.
want that specific person to be trained more into what they're doing
Yes.
medical wise. So it doesn't happen again.
Grandma TCF asked if there was any family involvement in her care. It was my impression that there was not a lot.
No.
No.
It was like the daughter that showed up like after she died, but it didn't seem like there was any involvement really before that.
I
Um,
thought that
and
was
and the
weird.
staff there too was all very segmented. There didn't seem like there was very good communication, which is probably part of the problem. You've got the
Mhm.
administrator, Christy, who doesn't seem to be doing much. You have the person, and as I recall correctly, the person who was caring was actually a live-in in that particular building.
Yes.
That's the way I
So
understood.
they were there, but the amount of involvement was kind of questionable. There was the person who was responsible for the acquisition and the keeping of the medications, but it doesn't seem like any of those people really communicated because they kept saying, well, that wasn't my job, that wasn't what I did,
Right.
that wasn't what I
Yep.
do.
Left hand didn't
Not
know
my
what the right
fault.
hand was doing.
Yep.
Yes.
And there was something weird with the insulin monitor too. Like she had one of those mountable things like my son-in-law has, but nobody knew it was there. So she had it on her arm, but they didn't know that it was there or how to use it or what to do with it. So they were still doing
Yeah.
like the finger prick thing.
Yeah, that was another weird thing.
Yeah.
For a medical,
Train
for a group
adequately.
for a group of medical people, they sure, it seemed like they were more playing doctor than actual
Yeah.
doctors or nurses or care staff.
Yep.
I mean, Ashley said retraining. I don't know. Maybe they should. Maybe some of these
training.
Training.
training in general. Yeah, get the basics. I mean, and again, yeah, it seems like everything was very compartmentalized. Like, oh yeah, that wasn't my job. That was, that was her job. And then she's like, well, yeah, it was, but I was just under the direction of Miss Fleischfresher, and so I just did what she told me to do. And then she's like, well, I hired these people to do this. I don't know. This
Doesn't
case.
this place need to be certified, like to take care of the elderly? I don't know
Yeah,
much
I'm gonna pull
about
that up
care
again.
facilities.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there's obviously you need some sort of license. I don't know. Michigan has very Michigan rules for a lot of things, I'm sure. But even at that, you obviously, yeah, you still need to have certifications and licensing and all that, which is going to be very much in question after all of this. There's review boards and there's all of that. So I'm sure there's the ramifications from this will be long lasting. But I just try to put myself in the position of the family, the daughter, or even in the case of the care facility, like, I really tried to go into this with an open mind because, but it was very difficult because anytime someone is in someone's care and then they start altering or editing records,
Yeah.
Yep.
my sympathy is going to go pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I just have a hard time. I mean, I don't know. I know she was in her 60s, so she was getting older, but she's not that
Okay,
old.
first off, stop. I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
She was
60.
60, not in her 60s. She was 60.
60.
And as a guy
okay.
who's solidly in his 50s, I don't want to hear that she's getting old.
Yeah.
So walk
Well,
that back, please.
Getting okay. How about getting to retirement age?
Yeah, I don't like that either. Keep going.
Well,
Anyway,
here,
I'm not going
the
to
thing
satisfy
is-
Dan at all.
but the
People.
thing is, 60 is not. This isn't,
She
the
checked
19th
herself-
century. I
She
mean,
checked
60
herself
is not the-
into the care facility, though.
No, her family did.
Her family
Her
did.
family did. Okay.
Yeah.
So if her
And-
family checked her in and she, I don't know. That's weird to me. Because if the family checked her into the care facility and already knew she was in the hospital, I just don't see why they didn't make sure she had the care she needed at the hospital before going to the care facility. I feel like there's a disconnect there too.
Well, I don't know that family really knows about care and self-care.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll take some heat from somebody for throwing the dead person under the bus. However, one of the things that came out in the testimony, she was 5'6", 250.
Right.
She's a morbidly obese woman who had a myriad of health problems, who obviously did not take care of herself during her life.
Yep.
So a lot of where she ended up was most certainly, incumbent upon her and what she did. But, if you have, let's just be real and call a spade a spade. If you've got somebody who presents that kind of lifestyle to the family, do you think that their children are going to more likely than not really understand healthy behavior
No, probably
and
not.
what to look for and all that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Probably not.
I'd probably say no.
And even if that wasn't true, Dan, the layman doesn't know a lot about medicine. The layman doesn't know a lot about a lot of things. I mean, average person, you might know a few things, or something that maybe you saw in house, or ER or whatever, or but I'm telling you, even a regularly educated person is not going to know a lot. Now, one thing you are going to know probably is that 5'6", 250. Yeah, that's probably not the healthiest. And, these are all going to be factors that are going to be considered during all this too, is, if someone comes to you in poor health already and they die in your care, and again, this sounds cold, but, how responsible are you really? And I mean, if we look at some cases where there's payouts that are done to victims' families, sometimes these are mitigating factors toward settlements. I mean, they'll say, look, this person was in very, very poor health, and those are all considered sometimes. This wasn't a person that even, 60 years old in this day and age is not old. However, 60 years old, morbidly obese, with a history of medical issues, that suddenly is a much different story. Now, again, I go back to this, and it's going to be something I repeat a lot because it does bear that repeating.
Deliberate
You
falsification.
edited medical records.
Yes.
Yep.
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 The deliberate
Mike is so upset about it, he froze up
I know. Every time
for emphasis.
I bring it up, it's like, but no, you edited the medical records. As soon as you do that, even the mitigation that would have come your way
Goes out the window.
goes out the window.
Yes.
So that's my problem.
Yep.
That means that you knew you did something wrong, so you're going to.
You done screwed up.
Yep, you done screwed up, and you have to fix things in order for you not to get in trouble, type
Yep.
thing. Yeah, it's
Well-
really hard to fight against that. It is major proof that it's not like they accidentally died in your care. It's more like you you negligently didn't give them insulin, so they died type thing.
But
So,
Ashley, that's the thing. If it was just a case of negligence, that's bad. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong, that's bad.
Yep.
it is bad.
But covering it up is where this goes from bad to way worse. Because if you just covered it up or if you just were negligent, I'm not saying it's great and it's probably not going to go well for your career, but
No.
that's at least mistakes happen. Look, they do. That's why we have malpractice suits, and that's why we have settlements, and that's why we have. But hospitals continue to run after mistakes are made.
Right.
Where things will get shut down very quickly is if mistakes are made, and then you try to cover it up as if nothing bad happened.
Right.
That's where this case is going to get flipped on its side, I'm afraid. You know, if this were, hey man, she died, we screwed up. You know, we didn't know what, one person didn't know what the other was doing. If they took full accountability, you'd have to pay out something. It'd be awful. But I think life would go on for these people, and they would be able to probably at some point, pull themselves back together and maybe care for more people. It could happen, maybe.
And
Not now.
falsifying medical records, she's facing a 4-year felony for that against a
There's 2 of those.
there's a 15-year felony involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
And then a 2-year misdemeanor of obstruction of the investigation.
Yeah.
So she's facing that much time when she could have just gotten that 15 years. Right.
Yeah. And we'll dig into more of the sentencing side of it and how it's charged and whatnot on Thursday. But I was thinking about how you get to this place where you need to falsify records and whatnot, and there's 2 things that came to mind. One of them, it's very clear that their intake process to me was just completely broken, because I didn't get the impression whatsoever that they had any clear picture of what this woman's issues were. And what kind of oversight she needed. I mean, just by the fact that she was wearing a glucose monitor and they had no idea.
Yeah.
Kind of says something right there.
Yep.
I mean, that's messed up.
That's a mighty fancy wristwatch you got there, ma'am.
A little bit. Barbara, thank you for gifting the membership.
Thank you, Barbara.
But
thank you,
Barbara. I just Googled adult foster care requirements in Michigan.
Okay.
And I think this is worth looking through real quick, if you don't mind. Adult foster care homes in Michigan are licensed residential settings providing 24-hour supervision, protection, and personal care for 1 to 20 adults who can't live independently due to age, developmental disability, mental illness, or physical handicap. Requirements include licensure by LARA. LARA is the Michigan License and Regulatory Affairs. Staff training, building inspections, and providing 24-hour care, though not continuous nursing care. There's an application fee based on the size of the home for them. They had 2 buildings. The application fee would be a whopping $500 per building. That's all. They have to pass an inspection that proves fire safety. They have to be background checked.
Okay.
And they have to make sure that the site is up to community health standards.
Yep.
They have to have a designated administrator. That was Christy. And 1 person on staff to supervise the residents. 1 person in the 20-person home.
Oh.
That's just insane.
Is all they need.
No.
And the resident care includes supervision, protection, and help with daily activities such as medication administration.
That's so Michigan.
That is it.
That's the problem.
So again, this is positioned between like an assisted living kind of situation, where they have like the senior condos where there's a bell they can ring if they need help, or somebody will come by once a day to do the dishes or whatever. And a full-fledged nursing home. This is somewhere in the middle where they'll have somebody living there to feed them and help them with their meds, but they're not trained medical people.
Correct.
Quite, and I didn't get this out of this particular Google, but I remembered looking it up while we were live with this.
Yeah.
And very often these are actually set up just in people's homes. Like they'll take 1 to 3 people in like a couple of extra rooms that they have, and then they get paid by Medicare and stuff like that, and it's an income source. But all they're doing is like cooking, helping them bathe and change their clothes if they need it, and giving them their meds, and that's it.
Right. These aren't registered nurses. These aren't people that went to medical school. You know.
So then I think the question has to become, you know, this is such a comedy of errors in my mind, this whole situation. Why in the world did she end up with all of her medical needs, and the fact that she was discharged from the hospital without having urinated in 48 hours? How does she end up in a place like this? Why did that place take her? First off, why did her family take her there? It was probably money. But why? But then why did the place go, we're not doing this? Why did that not happen? Was it greed? Was it just they did not know what they did not know? And they're like, oh, we can do this. She just needs insulin. You know, but she's a wreck.
And there's also the money aspect too.
Well, right. I think this is a Dance's comedy of errors, and that's a really accurate summary of what this was. I mean, this is a case of, well, it's a tragedy. It's a comedy and a tragedy. This is perfect Shakespearean right here. I mean, this is you've got probably a situation where, and again, we don't know the family's finances, but I would have to believe that if you really cared about a parent, you would try your best to make sure that you spent as much money as feasibly possible to make sure that they had the best possible care. Particularly, we're not talking about a 95-year-old woman. You know, even if your mom was 95, you'd still want to give her good care. But I mean, this is one of those situations where the woman was 60. You know, you'd want to spend the dough to put her in a nice facility. But okay, maybe you don't have it. So okay, now we're on to the next step, and that is just finding something that's going to be adequate. How do you not
in your
know?
Own home.
Yeah.
How about that? And then, okay, so that, even if that line of defense sort of for this woman breaks down, the next is the care facility, and they go, well, this is a morbidly obese woman that needs her diabetic medication, her insulin, and whatever else she needed. Maybe they look at this situation and they go, well, okay, she was just in the hospital, but maybe they look into it at least a little bit and go, I think this is probably a little bit above our pay grade. Mm-hmm. But maybe they're thinking about money too. They're like, well, hey, this is money for us, and so we'll take it.
How hard can it be? And,
the penny wise, pound foolish, whatever. The cheap comes out expensive, whatever saying you want to use here, it's going to apply. So that's correct. I just feel like everybody let this woman down. Yeah. And again, I don't want to throw the family under the bus too badly, but at the same time, I realize that medical costs and insurance and everything, it's a bitch. It really is. And I can sympathize completely. But man, you got to do a little better than that. Mm-hmm. I feel like Judge Dad right now. I just like, you got to do better than that. This is outrageous. But it is. I mean, and so again, everybody let this woman down, and that's what's the real tragic part of this story. It's a death that could have easily been prevented.
Delayed, maybe.
Well, okay.
Sounds like she had half a foot out the door already.
I was gonna say she was 1 foot in the grave, one on a banana peel. I get that, but still, you didn't have to give her the shove. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and Michael, you just said that whatever phrase you want to use. I'd use a one-word phrase: dumbasses, all around.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and again, not to speak ill of the dead, but starting with her, and just how she allowed herself to degrade, and
Mhm.
then a hospital that totally dropped the ball, to a family that obviously did not pick a good place for her and
Due
probably didn't put
diligence.
enough thought into it, to a facility that was in no way equipped to handle her and should have just said no.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then tried to cover it up, allegedly.
Yep.
But
Well-
it doesn't seem like it was all that.
How
bad.
long
if it
was she at? How long was she at that home for?
She
5
got there on the
days?
1st. She died on the 5th.
Yeah. So
Yep.
like 4 days and change.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And she was found weird too, apparently.
Well,
If
yeah,
I was
that's
at
that's the other
home-
part.
Her
Yeah, if I
head
was
was at
not-
the foot of her bed, and
Mhm.
her
Yeah, if I
clothes
was
were like
at-
half off, as I recall.
Yeah. I was at home, I would have like a medical person come in and periodically check on patients, but
Well, but it doesn't sound like that's part of the contract, because
Yep.
one of the things they said too was that they had like a preferred pharmacy that they used,
Mhm.
but this insulin, if I recall correctly, didn't come from that preferred pharmacy. That wasn't even coming from the pharmacy that the facility
Yeah.
usually works with. It was coming from yet another place, which was another piece of the puzzle that complicated things for them.
they shouldn't
It's so
have,
fragmented.
shouldn't have taken her on to begin with. Then I don't think.
This was one of those things where, how often do we see this everywhere? It's like, this is so fragmented. This is so broken into different compartments and pieces, and none of them are working in concert with one another. And the more that happens, the more hands there are that are just moving in their own direction, the more ironically, the more that's involved, the less care that the person is going to get.
Mhm.
And that's what this is ultimately supposed to be about. But, sorry, man. I mean, I know and the daughter obviously was very sad. She was devastated. And
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to throw her under the bus. I don't
I
want to make it
know.
seem like, I'm being heartless here, because maybe this was her only option, because maybe, when you don't have a lot of money, you've got limited options, but maybe that she felt this was the only option, and maybe she didn't know a lot about medicine, and maybe, but
Well, then I have to ask Michael, where's the hospital social worker stepping in here?
well, and then
Because
there's
that should have
that.
happened too.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's the social work. There's so many layers to this, but you doctored the medical records, you lose. That's
Yeah.
it. You're done. You're done. The daughter, everybody else is kind of off the hook in my head, because
Yeah.
and I want to know, and this is where the deeper investigation is going to come in, because obviously it has to. How often has this happened in the past?
Yes.
How many near misses have there been?
Yep.
Mhm.
Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Gotta be. It's just like somebody, we see this on TCF, somebody that's caught for theft, right? How many times did they steal before they were caught?
Yep.
You think you steal for the first time and you get caught? Oh, sure, it could happen. It happens to some people if you're really unlucky. But most people, they start out stealing something small and then it goes up,
In places like Walmart and Target and stuff, they let you. They're
Absolutely.
building a case until it gets up to a felony, and then
Right.
Yep.
they will intercept you.
Right, because they just don't have the resources to go after somebody that steals a candy bar, a pack of gum, as Judge Stevens would say. They don't have the resources to go after someone that steals a T-shirt. They just don't.
Right.
The court system doesn't have it. The police don't have it. Target, Walmart, Kroger, whatever, they don't have it. But once you've stolen $1,000 or whatever the felony range is in your particular state, that's when they're going to go for it.
Mhm.
But yeah, and in this case, it's like there's no way this person was a perfect. This whole facility, everybody there, Fleischfresher and the caregiver, everybody else. There's no way that everything was just smooth sailing, and then one day, just everybody just decided to screw up, and oops. Well, there we go. Erase.
Not as fragmented as they appear to be. No.
Well, and that's the other thing is. This is a situation, too, that if there was more oversight into this stuff, maybe they would have seen it coming. Maybe there was. And that's the thing, too, is we don't know because, again, thorough investigation will, every time there's a tragedy, then we look in the rearview mirror. Then we get the magnifying glass. Then we go over all the paperwork. Afterwards, we are reactionary, not proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then they're going to go back and they're going to look and they're going to see how fragmented this is and they're going to see what happened in this care facility and they'll start to look at other care facilities and they'll probably go, boy, there's a lot of this going on across the state. Maybe we ought to do something about it. And, maybe in 15 years, legislatures will do this and it'll get taken care of. But in the meantime, this is going to be a situation that, again, these cases that we talk about on Sidebar, it's never just about the one case because you can extrapolate it out to others.
Yep.
And man, this made me think twice about any sort of care facilities and,
I know. I was
already cynical about
going
it.
there too, Mike, because I was thinking if this place screwed up so badly, I wonder how other care facilities anywhere are operating, and I don't really want to know. It just one group will spoil all the other ones in a way.
Right, there's probably a lot of great ones out there. I don't want to rain on everything. I don't want to make this about, oh my God, they're all garbage. But
they're kind of all garbage. And Michael cut out again.
Yeah,
I don't know. To explain how it's garbage.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I don't want to say they're all garbage. I just want to say some of them definitely are. There's due diligence involved. I don't know what's going on with my thing. My internet's fine over here. I don't know.
I usually don't like to apply this to the majority either, but I want to say they are because the regulations are not. No, I think it needs to be up to a higher standard to care for people that need more care than yourself in a way. I think there needs to be more oversight for these kind of places.
Ashley says they're all crap.
Maybe. So,
I'm kind of saying so, yeah.
Well, this is anecdotal evidence, but back in 2017 when Beth's dad had a massive stroke and he lived in Toledo, Ohio, we ended up putting him in one of the highest rated skilled nursing facilities in Northwest Ohio to try to get him as far along as we could before we had to bring him down here with us. And the amount of oversight that we had to have over that place was just nuts. And they were one of the better ones. But we were
visit
involved
every day or something.
And we couldn't be there every day. We were back and forth between there and Arizona.
Yeah.
But we were constantly fighting with them to make sure that things got done, that he got the care that he needed, that rather than ask us about certain things, because I will admit he was a difficult patient, but they would make assumptions about him rather than like asking us about him.
Yeah.
And it was just a constant struggle to get anything done. So, the quality of care you're going to get anywhere is not great, in my opinion. There are some diamonds in the rough. I mean, somehow, some way, by the grace of God, when Beth broke her leg back in November, we were somehow 2 miles away from one of the best hospitals in the Salt Lake City area. And the experience was actually, with the exception of one nurse, the experience was excellent. but that's more the exception than the rule,
Right.
which is sad.
Yes.
But then, so if you're talking about people who are trained
Right.
to deliver care, and then you talk about this adult foster care situation where it's not a bunch of licensed healthcare providers walking around there.
Yep.
It's people that are trying to be nice for money. I mean, how good's it going to be?
One employee to up to 20 patients, I think.
Well, yeah, that's
is what
another.
she was.
They could have had only one person supervising those 20 or overseeing those or taking care of those 20 people, and
Yeah.
I cannot imagine one person handling 20 people at one time that needs
Well-
some kind of care.
Well, I will say Michelle's very good friend, Marlene, she had a stroke and she was in one of these kind of facilities. There's a great big house that was converted into one of these care facilities. And there was probably about 4 or 5 other people in there.
Okay.
And they had like 2 people that were, on staff. And these folks, they were nice people. They were nice, but, they weren't necessarily, these aren't medical doctors. These are just people that have some degree of training. But, Marlene, she was a little bit with it. She kind of knew things going on, but she wasn't herself anymore. And she had the bed sores and stuff, a few of them, it wasn't bad, but it was, she couldn't really get out of bed much either. I mean, it's not like she could really walk, but still it was, I felt like there's better standards of care that could have been given. Now her children she had 5 kids. She went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Basically, they were all shitheads. I mean, they really were. I mean, they put her in this facility. It was not great, and that's the other problem. But we would visit her, and I felt terrible. I would say to her, "We're gonna break you out of here," and she'd smile, and because she knew that it just wasn't great, and that was just not a great way to spend your last. What was she there for? 1.5 years of her life? I mean, that was just not good.
Yeah.
There was only 4. It was only 4 people approximately there at that time, and this place had 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And they weren't individual rooms either, by the way. These were all shared rooms. It was 2 people to a room.
Oof.
And they weren't large rooms.
Oh.
There's like pictures online.
Standard size bedrooms.
Yep, standard sized bedroom with 2 twin beds and a couple of dressers.
I could not.
So we're not
imagine that.
talking about super fancy place either.
Right. Oh.
Not that particularly matters. I mean, you could give a decent level of care in a in a cardboard box or tent or something, if it's done properly. But yeah.
That just adds to the issues when it's a place that doesn't give you that good care.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It kind of makes me think of like a herd of cattle, like in that Clayton County jail.
Hallway court.
Yeah, now it's hallway
patients. Care. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just like, oh no, this is turning forward to me.
I wondered how Clayton County was going to get worked into this episode.
Always pick on them, but no, seriously, like I don't want a patient hallway care type of scenario. That's kind of what it's sounding like with the small rooms and everything, but
Well, a slightly deeper problem, I suppose, that we have here is people are living longer. They're having less children, so there's less family being built to take care of them.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the ones that have children, the children are often dispersing themselves. People aren't staying as close to home as they used to for their lives. They're moving to other places, so they're not around. So we end up with the need for these kind of low-cost situations that forgive me for being blunt, but I think so often they're just used as a place to wait to die.
Mm.
And you're going to get a very low level of care.
Yeah.
And, that seems to have played out here. Barbara said that I don't think she should have died within 4 days. I don't disagree with that, except it almost seems inevitable that she did. When you combine it with the hospital dropping the ball and the family clearly not doing a decent enough level of due diligence, and then a facility that was never equipped to handle somebody like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then the broader issue is the medical industry in general. Everything is more expensive there. Like it's just, it is a problem compounded on a problem, compounded on a problem, on another problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter's in the industry, and and she loses people. So the other night they lost a small child in her ER, and that was really sad. But she tells horror stories about how broken the system is, and she's told me that if she knew then what she knew now, she would have chosen a different profession.
Mm.
Yikes.
And she's good at what she does. So when you have somebody who's good at what they do saying, yeah, I really wish I was doing something else for a living, that says a lot, and that's dangerous. And again, these are the trained people.
Yeah, they are the trained people. That's the sad part.
Well, yeah, and Dan, the thing is, I mean, then we have to worry about the other problem that we have in the medical business, that's burnout.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, it's very true. Because it takes a toll. She was telling Beth rather the other night when they had that loss in the ER. She just went home and cried for hours because it was so sad. And they harden themselves against a lot of that stuff, but it's going to take its toll, and it's going to take a toll, and it's going to take a toll even faster if you're working in a system that you realize is broken.
And it's the same thing, like for like some officers, even like when they encounter something disturbing, they'll go home and cry. And I feel for all of those people. Those are
a lot of them that are alcoholics for a reason.
Yep, drink. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But so we're sitting here talking about all these problems with the trained people, and then again we go back to the adult foster care situation where these people aren't trained. And is it really a surprise that somebody who is that broken lasted 4 days?
I just can't believe they even. I just can't believe somebody's not trained that was even able to take on a diabetic patient. They shouldn't have been able to. They should have been only caring for people that are adequately healthy, but not like insulin dependent or anything like that, in my opinion. I think they shouldn't have been allowed to take her on.
Well, yeah, they could even probably handle an insulin patient, but not one that's on her last leg.
Yeah.
Which she clearly was. I mean, she was a messed up lady.
Yep.
But,
it's one
but
thing
Barbara says in the chat that they should have given her insulin. They messed up and tried to sweep it under the rug. We absolutely agree with you, Barbara.
Yeah.
She should have got her insulin. They did sweep it under the rug. And there's no question about any of that in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part we'll talk about more on Thursday.
Yeah, I think we've gone a little deeper, though, that I don't think she should have been there in the first place. And I think you guys kind of agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's, the comedy of errors begins there.
Yes.
And only gets progressively worse.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll pick this up on Thursday, talk about the actual charges and more of the criminality of all of this. But final thoughts for tonight. Austin, any final thoughts for now?
This was incredibly sad, and the more you look, the worse it gets so far, is what I've noticed with it.
Yeah, and we're not even done. There's more testimony on the 27th.
Yep.
Ashley?
It gives me a lot to think about, because even personally, trying to think of how that somebody that's not able to take care of themselves, I know that's one thing, but just thinking of the family and just trying to wrap my head around how this went wrong, how this all went wrong in multiple areas. It's just, we should be better than that. We're in 2026. We're not. You would think that medicine would have gotten so much better by now and that we would have figured things out by now too. But it seems like as we advance, things just get worse. And that's my final thought. That are we really progressing in life, or are we going backwards? And I feel like in a lot of ways we're going backwards. And this is a case that kind of makes me think that too. So that's my final thought.
Well said. Michael?
Yes.
Negligence, bad. Fraud, obstruction, altering documents, covering up, sweeping under the, way worse. Put it in conjunction with everything else that we talked about tonight, and this is a tragedy, and it makes you think about your own future sometimes. It shines a light on a very dark place, a dark corner of society, unfortunately.
Well, since you talked about makes you think about your own future, Michael, I have thought about mine. And I think I mentioned this before, but I refuse to engage the healthcare system. I'm not interested. Barring some kind of heart attack or a bone break or something that does require like immediate medical attention, I refuse to go there. I try to eat healthy. I take supplements. I'm as active as I can be. I still fight with the belly fat that a 50-some-year-old guy fights, but other than that, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm rolling the dice, and we'll see what happens. But I don't trust the system, especially for how much it costs and how little you seem to get in return. And I don't know. I've seen so many people go through it, and the results are all over the board, and it's stressful, probably to the point where in a lot of cases it causes more harm than good, and I'm not interested. But that's me. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for all of us. But for me, the medical system and healthcare and all of that, what do we talk about all the time, even though it's a freaking LawTube channel, but it seems to always come up? What is it, Michael? The enshittification of everything in our society.
Yes.
And this is one of the most dangerous areas to be enshittified.
Yes.
Which is why I refuse to engage it. I figure I'm better off on my own. But
maybe.
I don't know. I'm the test case. I'll let you know. Anywho, we'll let's pick this up on Thursday, and we'll take it from the charging side of things, the criminality of it. Is she charged right? Do we think she's going to be found guilty? How do we think it's going to go? All that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, then we will see you back here Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern,
Yeah.
5 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back live tomorrow for the TCF Morning Show, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. In the meantime, go have a good evening. Take care. God bless.
Good night.
Have a good night.